Hey there, listeners. Well, it's that time of year again. Easter has come and gone, and people are saying, oh, we've got a lot to get done before the end of the year. Where the heck is that time gone? And before you know it, you and I are going to be talking about what are you doing for Christmas? It's this time of year to reflect, reset, and relaunch to make a bigger impact in the remainder of the year. Let's discuss.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos.
Welcome to the Ask Denis episode. This is a freestyle episode where I'm asked a question by our listeners, or I share my thoughts and experiences from insights from working with many leaders around the globe. Well, as I said in my opening, it is that time of year again, and Easter has come and gone, and people are saying, we've got a lot of work to get done before the end of the year. Where has the year gone so far? It's gone so quick. The first quarter is done. And as I said in my opening, before we know it, you and I are going to be talking about what are we doing for Christmas? It's that time now to really reflect and reset and relaunch to make a bigger impact in the remainder of the year. Well, let's start off with the quarter as well, right? The one that's just ended. Because you see, the end of the first quarter is a significant checkpoint for both individuals and businesses. It's time to pause and start to evaluate the progress made against the goals that you started at the end of the year with, that you set at the beginning of the year. I think there are the 3 R's that we need to talk about in today's episode. The 3 R's are reflect, reset, and relaunch to ensure that not only the rest of the year, but the next quarter is going to be even more successful than the first quarter. So let's get into it. The very first one is reflect. That's the power or the ability to look back and evaluate. It's really around about assessing and reflecting on what's actually happened. Reviewing your goals that you set at the beginning of the year. No, I'm not talking about those New Year resolutions. I'm talking about those goals that you set at the beginning of the year. Which ones have you achieved so far? Where did you encounter unexpected challenges? Did you actually take time out to celebrate the victories, no matter how small? And did you analyze any of the setbacks that you may have had? You see, this whole process isn't about criticism. It's about understanding and learning. Now, perhaps your goals may have been too ambitious, or maybe they weren't challenging enough for you. So this is a great time for you to assess your strategies and outcomes that will provide valuable insights into what works and what doesn't. So please take time out now for you to reflect on the quarter that's just been. The second part is the reset. This is where, if you think about the analogy of a yacht out there sailing in the oceans and the winds are moving or they're not moving, doesn't matter, whatever's happening, it's time for you to adjust your sails. This is what we call the resetting piece. And with the knowledge that you've gained from the reflection piece just before, this is time for you to reset. Now, this step is quite crucial in the sense that it acknowledges that while the goal is still there and it's still the same, possibly, because you may have done some adjustments, the methods to achieve them can and should be flexible. Now, what you need to do here is identify what needs to change, whether it's reallocating resources, shifting the focus, or setting entirely new objectives or goals. Yes, you may need to set new goals, or you may have already accomplished some, and now you're needing to reset some new ones. Now, resetting overall is not a sign of failure. It's an indication of your commitment to be adaptable and to grow. Because you see, this is the catch. A lot of leaders will stay with the same goal that they may have set at the beginning of the year. That's all good. but it may not be relevant anymore, or it may not be quite the way it should be. We may need to tweak it a little bit or adjust a little bit to move forward. And if you're not adaptable, this is where you run that risk of becoming irrelevant and being left behind. The third area is relaunch. This is taking a renewed action. This is really interesting because this relaunch piece this is where you do the realignment of your goals and strategies and then start to put them into an action plan and then putting action in place and getting underway with it. With these refreshed goals or objectives or plans that you have, then you have renewed enthusiasm and you can launch into the next quarter with that new plan. Now, by the time you listen to this, and this has been aired, the first week of the new quarter has already done. We're almost done with it, right? So you got to get onto this pretty quickly. Now, break down your goals into actionable steps, create a timeline, establish accountability measures or goals, KPIs. It also will mean that you need to have weekly check-ins with those KPIs or those accountability measures. And even you may even have a new team structure, or you might need to bring in new people into the team or reassign or re-strategize people in the sense of getting them to understand where they might need to go to or how they might need to adjust things to move forward to where we go. So in other words, what we're saying here is that, yeah, we've got all these plans and all these goals, but we can actually tweak things and we move along things to adjust. When a plane is flying and there are certain things happen, there is different winds that come across, there might be turbulence, there might be other things that they might need to do, fuel might be getting low and so forth. They will need to adjust speed, height, the wings, everything like that, and actually help the plane fly faster or get to its destination, or it may need to adjust the destination to another airport. So in other words, they have a plan and they have structure, but then they may need to have some flexibility with it as well. But by you actually relaunching and bringing all those things I talked about, it's going to bring energy to your goals, to your plans, and to the action that you're going to put in place. Now remember this, the journey to achieving your goals is not always in a straight line. It's never perfect. So you need to embrace the challenges and the detours and use the lessons learned. They're coming from the reflection piece. The lessons learned for you to build a stronger path forward for you and your organization. Listeners, as we move into the next quarter, let's not just aim for progress, but for continuous improvement. Do the 3 R's, the reflect, the reset, the relaunch, but do it with conviction that every step that you take is one step closer to your goals. Now, it is time for you to take a moment, or it is the moment really for you to take time, not just as a routine checkpoint. In other words, a tick in the box and things are done. But it is ready for an opportunity, it's time for you to have it, or an opportunity for transformation. So it's an opportunity for you to have that transformation happen in your business and where you're going. You know what? I want to wish you a dynamic and successful next quarter. But you're going to have to put the work in place to enable you to do this transformation, to enable you to be where you need to be within the end of the next quarter. And my call to action to you this week is for you to help set up that quarter and the remainder of the year actually is for you as a leader that you need to know how to lead in today's dynamic world. Listeners, it takes the work, as I said, but it also takes the knowledge. You need to understand what's required from you as a leader today to help you be successful. And as I've just launched last week, the executive guide, the 10 ways to lead in today's world, it's a result of me doing nearly 300 interviews with guests around the world, with leaders around the world. And as a result of that, there's about 30 different themes, but we've actually taken 10 of them, and we've actually created 42 strategic insights underneath all 10. So you've got 4 to 5 sort of strategic insights underneath each one. And that's a great document for you to take away and read. It's simple, but it's actually very, very impactful. So it'll help you understand where you stand with each of the main themes. And I actually want you to sit back and actually reflect on that to help you understand where you stand with each of those main themes, and then what you need to work on to move forward in this quarter to help you be successful. Hey listeners, that's it for this episode. It's always a pleasure being with you. Thanks for joining me on the Leadership is Changing podcast. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.